like me, also a big fan of Pink Floyd and David Gilmour, then you are familiar with David's very melodic, epic guitar style and this comfortably numb solo, aren't you? And you probably have heard various people play it, and maybe you're in a position where you just wish that you could also just play it effortlessly and awesomely. Now, here's the thing, here's the problem, that you watch different guitarists like myself play that solo, and you have no idea how many hours have I studied this solo? Have I? How many takes did it take me to play this solo? I'll be honest, swear to God, this was my first take today. So, have I played before? Yes, I've played it many times. I even played it live over the years. But that's the thing, you don't know about the background of this guitarist that you're listening to. And yeah, it's just kind of, it puts you in a unfair comparison, really, yeah? Because generally speaking, probably I spent a lot of time on David Gilmour's style over the years. And I want to talk with you today about some of my observations as far as David's style go, and what I think what could be a good approach for you to also embrace his style more, if that's what you're after. Yeah? If you're, I would say that actually that strategy that I'm gonna share with you today probably works for almost any guitar player. Yeah, this immersive method of just studying somebody's style. So if you like this melodic kind of playing and you want to not only be able to copy a solo, which by the way, I didn't copy it note for note or down in the tiniest details, it was more like making it my own. If you want to learn how to do that and also be able to improvise in the style of your favorite guitarist, then you should stick around because I think it's going to be valuable information for you. Yes. So first of all, in terms of David's playing, David does not dazzle first and foremost with technique, and he probably would be the first one to tell you this, that he's way more about tone, about composition, about mature phrasing, and about musical expression. And I think one reason why he is so immensely successful with his style is that he takes very little compromise in those things. I think he really, his expression is his number one focus. He's not playing to impress you. So this is a combination of tone control, the actual tone of, the way he approaches tone as a whole, the way he plays his guitar, but also the way he uses his amp and his pickups and his volume control. That contributes a lot to what we are hearing. But it also has to do with the careful placement of his notes that are very much intuitively based on triad shapes. That's something I want to talk with you about, but even more so, I want to talk about the emotional meaning of picking your notes and how you can actually feel the notes more than analytically pick them, like from a scale. Yeah? So the first exercise, I want to make this more action-based today. The first exercise that I want to do with you, I want you to dial in a drone. What is a drone? A drone is just a long root note that's sustained, usually in the home key, and it allows you to just explore intervals and notes on a different level because you're actually gonna feel what that note does. So I'm gonna dial in here a D drone because that's the key of a song. And the tool that I'm using here is my Guitar Coach app that I built myself. So here I can just turn on a click too. I can use a drum groove too, but I'm just gonna use just the drone here today. Yeah? So I have. If I play the first note here of David's solo, it's interesting to hear, right? I mean, this is just such a strong, positive opening with that note. Imagine he would start his solo like this. You just hit that note. It wouldn't be nearly as powerful than hitting this major third note. And that is the key. So you need some awareness about the intervals. And that is the first important lesson here. You need some awareness about intervals. So are you able to play a D major triad and then build some phrases around this triad that land on the specific triad notes? I'm going to show you what I mean. So resolving to the root note, right? Resolving to the fifth. Resolving to the high fifth. That reminded a little bit of the Star Spangled Banner, right? But do you hear how my phrasing actually leans into these intervals? And then very often, these notes will be my landing spots or my beginning notes. Yeah? So drone really helps to build a sensitivity towards that. And my favorite method is to just do this on one string, because that really builds your intuition like nothing else. Do you hear that? Then I land on the root note. Yeah, it's just beautiful how that works. So this cultivation of the intervals is an absolute must. So let's say you already did that for a while. You already have some good instincts there. Then let's look at the phrasing one more time. Yeah. Do you hear that? This massive rake quality. That's very typical for David, that he doesn't just play notes like on a piano. He doesn't play it like that. And maybe your solo sounds more like that right now. He doesn't play it like that, yeah? But he puts a massive right-hand rake into this first note, and then he bends that A note. So he could have easily played the note here on the E string, but he goes together with a beautiful vibrato. Yeah? In his case, I don't know if you're aware of that, but David Gilmour uses a lot of smooth whammy bar vibrato. Not so much finger vibrato. So that's another reason why his vibrato sounds so smooth and buttery. Yes, so very important. Now let's put on a groove here. And this is very slow, if you notice, yeah? I mean, I would say the tempo of Comfortably Numb is more in the area of 65 beats per minute or so, yeah? I didn't look it up beforehand, but let's just put on a rock drum groove with the drone, and let's see if I can play the solo like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty cool, right? So you see, he uses a lot of different subdivisions there. Yeah? So that's another foundation that I don't see too many people talk about when it comes to composing solos. That, you know, he's not just using eighth notes or 16th notes. He's using triplets and eighth notes, 16ths all combined. Yeah. So to know what your subdivisions are is just super important. Now let's go back to one string, and I'm gonna show you how you can practice that. Yeah? So this would be the triplets, right? But don't do it mechanically, but 16th notes. Triplets. You see how suddenly, with good phrasing and intentional use of these subdivisions and mixing them, I'm suddenly going into the ballpark of this Gilmour solo. Yeah? It's not as great as David's, but suddenly it sounds a little bit like in that style, right? And I'm not even using the chord tones, and I'm not even thinking about the harmony. We're just focusing on phrasing and rhythm. And this is the main purpose of my lesson here for you today, is that, you know, sometimes you just get so obsessed with which notes to play and how to find the notes and which scale shape and which mode are we in. All these things distract us from the stuff that matters a lot, rhythm and phrasing. I wish that the average guitarist would spend more time thinking about, not even thinking about it, you know, having it in her awareness of how to play the note. And don't even worry so much what the note is, but try to raise the intent of any note in your solo that you play in your improvisation. Now, I think playing with drones like this is just a fantastic way to do that, because it forces you, it's like a limitation where it forces you to really get the phrasing right, yeah? And get your rhythms right, and be very transparent with everything that you do. Now, of course, you want to know your triads, you know? Of course, I know where the triad notes are, yeah? What I'm saying is, this is not my first priority, yeah? Because once I have the phrasing and the rhythm dialed in, then it's relatively simple to just play different notes. But the other way around, if you know all the notes, but your rhythm is just not together. You don't have a rhythmical imagination like that. Then it doesn't matter how many triads you learn. You're never gonna go over the threshold. Yeah, and I really believe that this is very often for a lot of guitar players. It's not the lack of note material or the lack of knowledge that's their plateau, but it's the lack of phrasing awareness and the lack of rhythmical options that end up being a limitation in your playing. Just think of all the great players that use 5 notes highly successfully. Think of someone like Eric Clapton or B.B. King or Stevie Ray Vaughan that spent most of their prolific careers just playing with these 5 notes. And yeah, they just had such great rhythm and great phrasing. Their music was so rich. And so that's something to think about. I hope this inspires you. Now, if you want to use my tool here that I'm using, Guitar Coach app, that also allows you to pull in any YouTube video, any PDF, any piece of content that you want to study. You can make a custom study object and put it in your practice plan. It really allows you to plan your practice and preload and save your daily practice and vary it into weekly, monthly practice. And it's a fantastic practice tool. Yeah? So if you want to check that out, I'm going to put the link down there in the comments where you can test it for 7 days, for a whole week, for free. Deal? Awesome. So I'm going to just improvise over this backing track here. And I'm going to already say goodbye. If you want to check out my lesson about triads, then click on the link up here. And for now, keep on rocking, keep on grooving.